other areas that we can, again, not looking at the pie in the sky, but things that people can do just individually or every day in their lives.
I mean, you've got your electricity consumption at your home. Your electricity bill doesn't lie. It's a constant measurement
doesn't.
each month.
Yeah.
How high is yours, Larry?
Well, it's a lot higher than it should be. I have 12 people and 2 dogs, 5 cats, and 6 little kittens
Big
now living in my house.
Okay.
You know, so.
Yeah,
but it's a lot more than I would like to pay.
But you can plot it on a monthly basis. You know, get your kids involved. You know, the family involved, and set that as a family target. Then your water consumption, you get a water bill. We've got the electricity and water bill there. Every month we get a measure of kilowatt hours. 1 kilowatt hour, if it comes from a coal-fired power plant, it's about 800 grams of carbon dioxide. If it comes from solar cells, it's about 200 plus grams of carbon dioxide. So the power of the sun fueling our lives is definitely more beneficial, but the investment cost of solar cells is quite high still, but it is coming down more and more. You know, we need to look at other renewable energies. We need to shift our energy mix radically towards renewables, but you know, the best energy is the negawatt energy.
Like not using it?
Yeah, reducing your energy consumption, and by that creating negawatts. We have all these big projects all over the world to create megawatts and gigawatts, you know, with new power plants. And this means loads and loads of additional emissions. If we start at our homes, in our businesses, in our buildings, in our government buildings, in our commercial buildings, to actually focus on reduction. And some of that starts with how we design buildings. With insulation, with passive cooling, with shading. You know, the village house that people lived in that didn't need air conditioning because you had passive cooling. You had trees there that were reducing the heat. You had, you know, the ability of the wind to cool down. That is a very important aspect of greening our lives as well. But we need to go from within the economy as well. Rightly, as you said, tree planting as a hobby over the weekend, that's what I do. But I do as well, my pension system is commercial trees. You know, they are hardwood trees that are being planted for a return, so that in 15 years time when I retired, the value of the land has gone up, and at the same time the trees get selectively harvested. They never get chopped down completely as a forest. So we need to look at all of those things. I think, you know, other areas that we can target is the transportation. How are you getting to and from work? I don't own a car. I don't use a car. I think that was one other thing that, you know, people were happy to see in this Greenest Person on the Planet competition, that, you know, even I live in a country where the public transport infrastructure is not really that well integrated. It's okay, but it could be improved. Malaysia has got loads of different companies having started their own little tracks, so the combination, the system is not very integrated. But still, I'm living without a car. My next thing that I'm looking at is buying an electronic bicycle.
Those are very popular in Japan, by the way. They're up. I had an electric motorcycle that I bought as an experiment, but they couldn't support it, and when it broke, they couldn't fix it. You know, it was kind of a problem. I ride a small motorcycle because that's
fast.
Well, it's the quick way to get around the city, as you found when you were trying to get here this evening. But I think there are a lot of things that we can do instead of getting in the car, jumping in the car. We can take a bicycle, or we can do the other things. But
and you know, people can start measuring their carbon footprint. As I mentioned earlier, mine is about 20, and then do more to capture the same amount to become carbon neutral initially. If your trees that you have planted, or you might buy carbon emission certificates, you know, to neutralize your life. And then the next step would be to turn your life into being a carbon sink. If we all do that, then we don't have any problem anymore if we don't get a deal in Copenhagen. It's unrealistic that a couple of billion people on this planet will all do it, but you can do it by focusing on your area that you have control and responsibility.
Well, see, that's the very point, you know, that I was making of, you know, if you're looking for local heroes and saying, okay, how do we take care of this in one area? And one of the fellows that came on the show, Patrick, talked about doing everything in a military kind of way. You know, if if you have a neighborhood, okay,
Yes.
for example, of just composting to get rid of
Yes.
the problems we're having with garbage, if you have a central collection point for 20 houses or something, if everybody just brings their stuff there and
Yeah.
one person takes making sure it's okay, then you've got a good start
Yeah.
of 25 here, 25 there, 25 in other places, and work it that way. And I'm
do
thinking
these-
that this is the
Yeah.
sort of thing that we need to, that's the way we need to sell it,
But
is
do these systems work? I mean, I see.
his does, yeah.
I
It is
see a lot of, usually when I'm in countries and I see different separation bins, I look at them, what is inside, and most of the time it doesn't work, especially at airports.
the way that they make it
Yeah.
work is it's locked, and the people can only come and put their garbage there at a certain
Yes.
time. And there's a proctor sitting there with a stick saying, look at
Yeah.
you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Because you're absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah.
In Japan, it's a big deal about separating your garbage. We separate our garbage and they throw it all in the same place
Yeah.
when
I
he
mean,
gets to the
that's
other place,
actually-
which is what is being done, which is kind of silly, So-
What we did in my condo, my neighbor Gregors, who is another greenie, and myself, we're under the umbrella of our Eco Warriors group, we basically looked at, hey, how can we upscale a recycling system that he had set up when he moved in? I moved in at a later stage. So on his floor, he had, here, you put your paper in here, put your cans in here, put your glass bottles in here, and it was used by about a handful of people in the condominium, 21-story condominium. Now, we did one tree planting, and the biggest Malaysian waste disposal company, waste pickup company was there. I said to the guy, hey, let's have a chat at our condo. Let's see how you guys can help us. We met up with them. We realized they can't help us. They're not flexible enough.
Yeah.
But we realized the cleaners are doing something already. They're earning a little bit of pocket money through collecting some
Exactly.
paper.
That's the way it's done here.
Yes,
Exactly.
So we need to use
Make it
economic
profitable.
factors,
Absolutely.
that are in place
Absolutely.
already to make it sustainable.
The way that they're doing it on some of the condos here with the composting.
Yeah.
They compost it there, and then they use the compost for the greenery inside and on the top,
Yes.
and in the local area
Excellent.
for the thing. So these things can be done,
Yes.
but they have to be done controlled in small areas.
Yes.
Because it comes down to the thing. So you and I are talking here, and somebody's, yeah, well, so what? I mean, these are two guys that are talking.
Yeah.
It's not going to fix the world,
Yeah.
and we can't fix the world,
Yeah.
but we can fix the condo you work in,
Yeah.
that you
Yeah,
live in.
that's
We
right,
can
that's
we can
right.
fix our own
Yeah,
homes,
yeah.
and we can fix those things. And if we can convince people to get
yeah.
started with that sort of thing, I think we're in good shape.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I don't, I'm probably as bad as a lot of people were when you hear about tree huggers, or we tell a lot of jokes about the greenies and things like that. And I think one of the sad things that's happened a lot is some of the, I should say, kind of violent type of things that have been happening that have been done in the name of environmentalists and things like that is not good either.
Yes,
And we've
yes.
got to depoliticize it and make it a part of everybody's life.
Yes, yes,
And
totally
that's what
agree.
as an advertiser or as someone's a brander,
Yeah.
that's the point that I would like to do, is to say, look, I have a 7-year-old daughter who wants clean air.
Yes.
We need lots more trees and a lot more green. And I was shocked about the impact of cement.
Yes, yeah.
I had never
Yeah,
thought of that.
yeah.
So what are some, we've only got just a short time left. In about a minute or a minute and a half, can you sum up your life of what you're doing with environmentalism?
My life's mission is to mobilize as many people as possible to discover the passion of how good it feels when you can do something for future generations, when you can live a life that creates value and earns a decent salary or some return on investment from preserving the planet, from healing the planet rather than from destroying the planet. We have lived for long enough in days where people made a lot of money from destroying the planet. That's why we need to turn it around for the sake of future generations. The planet will survive, but your children will not survive unless we turn this one around.
And I don't know how we could say that any better, actually. And I hope all of you out there have enjoyed the talk I've had with Matthias. I certainly have, and I'd like to thank you once again.
My
for
pleasure,
coming
Larry.
and for traveling all the way over here just to see us.
Carbon neutral.
Carbon neutral. And for all of you folks out there, thank you once again for inviting us into your home. It sure wouldn't be any fun without you. And I hope I'm going to see you again next week. And until then, straight ahead.
Bye-bye.